بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear students of Organizational Behavior course, today inshallah we will start with the first lecture in chapter 1. The title of this chapter is Welcome to the World of Organizational Behavior, or this chapter we will make an introduction to the organizational behavior. The learning objectives of this chapter can be summarized as follows. The first objective, we will define the organizational behavior, and we will show the value of systematic study of organizational behavior. We will identify the major behavioral science disciplines that contribute to the organizational behavior, and also we will demonstrate why few absolutes apply to organizational behavior. Also, we will identify the manager's challenges and opportunities in applying organizational behavior concepts. And last, we will compare the 3 levels of analysis in the text's organizational behavior model. So we will go to the first slide of this chapter. Why organizational behavior matters. Till 1980, business schools curricula emphasized the technical aspects of management. Of course, as we know all that all managers should have a lot of skills. They should have technical skills, interpersonal skills, and also the conceptual skills. What does we mean by the technical skills or the technical aspects of management? Technical skills, it is simply the ability of the managers or the employees to apply specialized knowledge or experience, or we can define it as it is a skills which is needed to perform specialized tasks. Okay, the technical skills are very important, but it is not enough. Of course, all the managers should have a package or a group of skills, so the technical skills is not enough to be a manager or to succeed or to compete with others. Okay, why? Because we are live in a dynamic environment. There are many challenges around the organization, so we should have as a manager a lot of skills. Interpersonal skills are needed and equally important. Of course, the interpersonal skills is needed for all of the managers, whether the first line managers or the middle manager or the top managers, or the employees in general, in order to deal with others. So what is the interpersonal skills? We can define it as the skills which is needed to dealing with others or getting along with others. It is very important, and we can say that it is critical for any organization, especially regarding for organizational behavior discipline. Also, we can say that the interpersonal skills, it is not limited to how we can communicate with others or how to get along with others. Also, it is focusing on the leadership skills and motivating the others. Okay, so here a question: what is the interpersonal skills? Again, interpersonal skills, it is the ability of the persons or the managers to getting along with others, dealing with others, communicate with others. Also, it is including the leadership skills and motivating others. Why is it needed? We can say that the most important skills which help the persons within the organization to interact with each other is the interpersonal skills. So it is needed in order to allow us to interact with each other, communicating with each other, and also it is needed in order to motivate the employees within the organization by having a leadership skills. Okay, and also we can say that the interpersonal skills is needed, and it is very important, or it is critical, so it is more important than the technical skills that to enhance the performance of the organizations by, of course, enhancing the performance of employees. So the interpersonal skills, it is needed to increase or improve the performance and enhancing the performance of employees, and this will lead to enhance the performance of the organizations as a whole and achieving our objective, such as reducing the absenteeism rate or solving the problems, and etc. Also, the interpersonal skills needed to communicate with different people, whether inside or outside the organizations, in order to attain the organizational goals. The interpersonal skills should be improved from time to time. So why the organizations or the managers or the persons should improve continuously their interpersonal skills? We can say that it should be improved to enable the companies to compete with others. And of course, the organization now work in a dynamic environment and a challenging environment. It means that the manager should know how to deal with the changes and adapt with it. Okay, so we can summarize the first part of this slide, that all managers should have a package of skills or a group of skills, whether technical skills or interpersonal skills or other skills such as the time management skills, the technological skills, decision-making skills, but we are focusing here on the organizational behavior, discipline, or organizational behavior concepts. So we are talking about the most important skills that should be in any managers or any employees as the interpersonal skills, and we are showing why it is needed or why it is critical. Okay, so if we are asking another question, why the organizational behavior is very important for any organization, as we said before, first it is attract and keep high-performing employees, and this will lead to increasing the performance or improving the performance of the organizations as a whole. Also, the organizational behavior helps transforming a workplace from good to great. It means high quality of the workplace. And this is the explanation of the previous line. There are strong association or relationship between the quality of workplace relations and the employees' job satisfaction or stress or the turnover. So there is a strong relationship between the quality of workplace that we are worked within it and the job satisfaction or the stress or the turnover. Why? Because if there is a positive social relations among the employees and their managers, this will lead to overall satisfaction for them. Also, this will lead to lower the stress at work and a low intention for the employees to leave the organizations. So it will decrease the turnover rate within the organization. Also, other reason why the organizational behavior is important, increasing the organizational behavior elements in the organization can foster a social responsibility awareness. So finally, we can say that the managers cannot succeed on their technical skills alone. They should have to improve their interpersonal skills in order to reach their goals and compete others. Okay, go to the next slide, the management and organizational behavior. What is the definition or how we can define the organizational behavior? Organizational behavior, it is a field of study that investigates the impact individuals, groups, and the structure have on behavior within organizations for the purpose of applying such knowledge toward improving an organization's effectiveness. So from this definition, we can say that organizational behavior studies three main determinants of behavior within the organization, which is the individuals, groups, and also the structure. Another way, we can say that the organization behavior, it is the study of what people do in an organization and the way their behavior affect the organization's performance. So the organization behavior, simply it is focusing on studying the behavior of individuals or the groups or the structure and how it can affect the organization's behavior as a whole. Organization behavior is the study of a human or the employee's behavior in the organizational context. So we are not talking about the psychology, studying the behavior of the human in general. We are focusing on the behavior of the employees within the organization that's related to the organization behavior discipline. The organization behavior examines behavior in the context of job satisfaction, absenteeism, employment, turnover, productivity, human performance, and management, in addition to other core topics. So when we are studying, or the manager when are studying the organizational behavior or the behavior of the employees, they can studying other topics such as the job satisfaction, the absenteeism, and the employment turnover ratio, the productivity, the performance of these employees, and other topics such as motivation, leader behavior and power, the interpersonal communication, group structure, change, the conflict and negotiation, change process, and work designer. Okay, so they can focusing on the reasons of such the absenteeisms, or what is the main factors that increase the employees' satisfactions. This all will be showed by their behavior. Okay, so go to the next slide. Okay, the next slide, or management and organizational behavior, the effective versus successful managerial activities. In your book, there is a study of a researcher, his name Lothens Fred. This study is applied in 450 managers. يعني هذه الدراسة طبقها على 450 مدير. معظم المدراء اللي مطبق عليهم هذه الدراسة كانوا بيشتركوا في مجموعة من الأعمال الإدارية، لكن هذه الأعمال الإدارية كانت نسبة وتناسب تختلف من مدير إلى آخر. وكان يعني المين كويستشن عنده أو الدراسة تبعته بدها تبحث موضوع what make one manager more effective than the others. إيش اللي بيخلي المانجرز يعني more effective or more successful than the others. Okay, the main managerial activities focusing on this study: the traditional management, human resource management, the communication, and the networking. Let's begin to make a definition for each of them. What we mean by the traditional management. Traditional management, it is simply the four functions of management: planning, organizing, leading, motivating, and controlling. While the human resource management, it is focusing on motivating the employees, training them, staffing, hiring, firing the employees. Also the communication, it means exchange information and the processing paperwork, how to getting along with others and transform the needed information for all of the departments. And the last skills or managerial activities, the networking, it means socializing and interacting with outsiders. Okay, so this study focusing on this for managerial activities, but as you show, the average managers spend all of his time in the traditional management. According to 32% of his time is for traditional management, and the least time is spent on the networking. This is the average manager, while the successful manager, as you see that most of his time is focused on the networking. Less than the half of their time is spent on the networking, while the least time is spent on the human resource management. He is just a successful manager, while the effective managers, most of his time spent on the communication, according to 44%, and the least of his time is spent on the networking. So in the successful manager, the networking made the largest relative contribution to success, and the human resource management made the least relative contribution. Okay, while the effective manager, in term, what do we mean by the effective manager? Effective manager means the managers who have a quantity and equality of performance, and a high level of satisfaction and commitment of their employees. This is an effective manager. Okay, the communication made the largest relative contribution. Networking is the least contribution to the effective manager. So we can conclude from this study that managers who explain their decisions and seek information from employees are the most effective managers. Okay, the next slide, titled by Complementing Intuition with Systematic Study. We can say that in general, sometimes we try to predict what people do or to predict their behavior under different conditions. This approach, of course, can lead to wrong predictions if we are reading the persons by ourselves without depending on a systematic approach. So we are judging this person or judge their behavior erroneous. Okay, and this will lead to wrong prediction or inaccurate prediction. So we have to depend on a systematic approach in order to improve the accuracy. Okay, the organizations shouldn't judge or study the behavior of the employees according to the intuition. They should use a systematic approach in order to analyze and predict the behavior of employees, in order to, of course, improving the behavior or to change the behavior or modify the behavior to reach their goals and objectives. So what is the systematic study? The systematic study, it is looking at relations, attempting to attribute causes and effects, and drawing conclusions based on scientific evidence. Okay, so the systematic study of behavior means making the accurate prediction of the behavior of the employees or the humans within the organizations, and this is the main objective of systematic study. So when we use a systematic study term, we mean attempt to attribute cause and effect relationships and basing our conclusion on scientific evidence. And what is the scientific evidence? It means we are based on data gathered under controlled condition and measured and interpreted. So we are depending here on an accurate information and data. Okay, the evidence-based management basing managerial decisions on the best available scientific evidence. Okay, the intuition, it is a gut feeling, not necessarily supported by research. So it is not depending on a systematic way to judge or to study the behavior of the employees. The intuition should be added to systematic study and enterprise-based management, because if we made all of our decisions with intuition, it means we are working in incomplete information. So the intuition, we cannot say that it is absolutely wrong or inaccurate way to study or analyze the behavior, but it should be added to a systematic study and evidence-based management. Okay, here a question: what is the importance of using systematic study of and enterprise-based management, or based management? The importance of using the systematic study, as we said before, to analyze the behavior of, or to study the behavior of the employees within the organization and predict the behavior more accurately. Okay, in order to modify it or change it or to increase it or decrease it. What is the problem with over-depending on intuition? And also we answered this question before. If we are depending totally on intuition, this will lead to inaccurate prediction or wrong and incomplete information about the behavior of the employees. Okay, so again, to go to the definition of systematic study, here there is something called the cause and effect relation. Of course, each situation of organizational behavior has its features, so it is not a matter of cause and effect relationship only, but also there are another factors that interfere the relationship among the causes and effect relation, the variables, which is called the situational factors or the contingency factor that are more challengeable and they are not stable. So it is not static relations between the causes and effects between the dependent and independent variable in the organizational behavior about the human beings. The situations is varied, and there are many factors affecting the relation among the causes and effects, which is called the contingency factors or the situational factors, and which is varies from one situation to another, and also it is not stable. For that reason, we should, based on studying the organizational behavior on a systematic way, not only and depending only on intuition. Okay, what is the importance of big data? Big data, of course, the foundation of evidence-based management, it is the data which will use to evaluate and predict the human behavior. So in order to make a systematic study and which is based on the evidence-based management, we should to gather a lot of information or big data in order to analyze it and predict the behavior. Okay, the next slide it is talking about the disciplines that contribute to the organizational behavior field. What is the main disciplines that contribute to the organizational behavior field? First of all, we have the psychology science. And what is the psychology science? The science that seeks to measure and explain and sometimes change the behavior of humans and other animals. Okay, this slide talking about the disciplines that contribute to the organizational behavior field. The organizational behavior, it is a science which is built on a contribution of a number of other disciplines such as psychology, social psychology, sociology, and the anthropology. Okay, so the first discipline which is contribute to the organizational behavior is the psychology. علم النفس. علم النفس بشكل مختصر هو عبارة عن علم يقوم بدراسة لسلوك الكائنات الحية وخاصة الإنسان لفهم هذا السلوك وتفسيره والتنبؤ فيه ونحاول كمان أنه نتحكم فيه. Okay, so it is a science that seeks to measure, explain, and sometimes change the behavior of humans and other animals. So in this science we are focusing on, or it is contribute to organizational behavior for studying some aspects or some terms such as learning, personalities, perceptions, needs, satisfaction, because we are focusing on studying the behavior of a human. So we are studying the personality, the perceptions, the satisfaction, the emotions, the learning of this person. Okay. And the second science, which is also contribute to organizational behavior, it is the social psychology, اللي هو علم النفس الاجتماعي. هو في النهاية هذا العلم عبارة عن فرع من فروع علم النفس، يدرس السلوك الاجتماعي للفرد وأيضا للجماعة. وبالتالي هو بيدرس الإنسان ككائن اجتماعي، يعني علاقاته مع الآخرين. تمام. عشان هيك بسموه بعلم النفس الاجتماعي، بدرس الإنسان وعلاقاته مع الآخرين. So it is the social psychology, an area within psychology. It is a part of the psychology science that blends concepts from psychology and sociology. Okay, and that focuses on influence of people on one another, so the relations among each of them. Okay, what is the contributions, or what is the main contributions of this science, the social psychology, on the organizational behavior? We can focusing on the attitude change, the communication, the group process, the group decision making, because it is focusing on the person and his or her relations with others. Also, it is focusing on the communication, power, conflict, and intergroup behavior. Okay, the third science which has contributed to organizational behavior, the sociology. Sociology هو عبارة عن علم الاجتماع، اللي باختصار هو بيدرس المجتمع وأنماط العلاقات الاجتماعية وثقافة الحياة الموجودة داخل هذا المجتمع. So it is the study of people in relation to their social environment or culture. So how can the science contribute to organizational behavior? It can be benefited the organizational behavior in studying the environment, the formal organization theory, the organizational technology, the organizational change, the organizational culture. Okay, and the last science which is contribute to, or discipline which is contribute to organizational behavior field, the anthropology اللي هو علم الإنسان. علم الإنسان بشكل عام هو عبارة عن علم بيدرس بناء الثقافات البشرية بين البشر وأعراقهم المختلفة. So it is the study of societies to learn about the human beings and their activities and their cultures. So if we ask what is the main contributors of the science اللي هو anthropology and the organizational behavior study, it will benefit to study the organizational culture, the organizational environment, the power, and also the cross-structural analysis, the comparative attitudes, and also the comparative values. Okay. Go to the next slide, which is talking about the disciplines that contribute to the organizational behavior field. Maybe the table here is not clear, but it is founded in the book page 37, and we are covering it in the last slide. Okay, so you can revise it again from the book page 37. Okay, there are few absolutes in organization. So if we ask, what do we mean by few absolutes of organizational behavior or in organizational behavior? It means that it is not standardized, or it is not static. The organizational behavior is not static, or it is not standardized. That because we are talking here about the human beings, and they are more complex to be studied and changeable according to the situation. Okay, so why there are few absolutes in organizational behavior? Because of situational factors that make the main relationship between two variables change. The relationship may hold for one condition but not for another. As we said before, that two variables, the cause and effect variables, the independent variable, which is the causes, or the controllable variable, the variable x, and the dependent variable, y variable اللي هي effect. There are many factors that affect this relation, which is called the contingency variable or the situational factors. Okay, so for that reasons, there is a few absolutes in organizational behavior. Okay, so it is not a static relationship. It can vary from one situation to another. Okay, the contingency variables, situational factors, it is the variable that moderates the relationship between two or more other variables. It is the variable that moderates the relationship between the cause and effect, or between the independent and dependent variables. For that reason, sometimes two people often act different in the same situations. Okay, we are again talking about the human beings. They are complex, and all of them have their own personalities, their behavior, their values, so they are acting differently in the same situations. For that reasons, we can say that there is a few absolutes in organizational behavior. Okay, when we are studying the organizational behavior, there are many challenges and opportunities affect the organizational behavior. Of course, today's challenges bring opportunities for managers to use the organizational behavior concept. Those challenges should be studied to perceive the human behavior. The manager working within the organizations, which is opened on the surrounding environment, and there are many challenges surrounding the environment, and there are many factors that affect the organizations from outside the environment, so the managers should study it in order to know what is its effect on the human behavior or the employees' behavior within the organization. And one of these opportunities or the challenges is the globalization. And as you know, the globalization, it means that the world become a global village or small village without any borders among the countries. Or it means we are entering the markets. The world become global village with no borders and more diversity. Diversity and the culture, different people with different values. Okay, so in globalization we are working with people from different cultures. Okay, so we have to adapting to different cultural and regularity norms. So globalization enforced some changes how the application of organizational behavior should be handled by the managers. This is forces, and it is affects the ability of the managers to apply the organizational behavior concept. So it should be studied. The second challenge and or opportunities for the organizational behavior discipline, the workforce diversity. We will start with the workforce diversity, or working with people from different cultures. In order to work effectively with others from different culture, you need, of course, to understand how their culture shaped them and how to adapt your management style to fit any differences. So the concept that organizations are becoming more heterogeneous in terms of gender, age, race, ethnic, sexual or gender, and other characteristics. Okay, inshallah we will stop here at slide 10, and next lecture we will continue chapter 1. Thank you for your listening and good luck.